Paranoia is in boom. The PR transmissions will assume they'll try to push drugs to keep us all dumbed down and hope that they will never see the truth around. Another promise, another scene, another package lie to keep us trapped in greed. Another green bells wrapped around our minds, an endless red tape to keep the truth confined. They will not force us. They will stop degrading us. They will not control us. We will be victorious.
Hey, Teresa, what's up? So this was so incredibly impromptu. I just, and I've talked about this before, but it's frustrating because I really feel like the majority of the time conservatives are easier to talk with than shitlibs or centrists. I think it's probably a few reasons. Number one, conservatives, you can kind of gauge where they're at and kind of speak to what means something to them. With conservatives, when I'm trying to talk to them about things, I typically go into taxes and spending and things like that. Whereas if I'm talking to shitlibs or centrists, I more try to talk about policy. And I think, one of the frustrating things, I don't know if it's because like shitlibs are like closer and they are like, they can be like, just like step forward a few more, you almost have it. The first part of that sentence is correct, but just keep, and sometimes it's like that. And sometimes it's very much, the vote blue no matter who mentality is beyond toxic. And that's incredibly, difficult to deal with. And I think, a family member who I see literally every week, and texted me on last Monday, and said, I'm scared to ask which side you're on. And they didn't elaborate. So I'm left with this. I'm like, okay. Number one, they only watch MSM. So I'm guessing which side are you on means we should be with Israel. That's how I took it. I mean, but let's look at it from the other side. Then I'm like, if she's questioning whether I'm not with Palestine, that is very offensive, because for years I've been fighting like crazy for we the people. And I always fight for the oppressed, not the oppressor. So it's like, either way I look at this, I'm upset. And I haven't stopped thinking about it since. I saw them tonight and I completely didn't even bring it up. And I think that's kind of, one of the reasons my frustration gets so bad, because I don't have the ability to just nod and smile. I don't have that ability. I don't. If someone's going to say something, I have to say something back. She didn't, thankfully. But it's one of those things where, like, sometimes you're at dinner with people and they say something that you just vehemently disagree with. And you, now, by speaking up, does that mean you're going to achieve anything? Absolutely not. You really can't talk to those people. They are not open to learning. They are not open to discussing. They are, we're going to get Trump and it's your fault, like that kind of mentality. Um, so what does it gain you by speaking up? Nothing. But when you're passionate about something, you're just outraged. Like, how could someone I know and care about say something so fucking ignorant? And then you have to think about, oh my God, all they do is watch MSM. All they do is watch propaganda. They don't even have internet or etc. And it is so beyond frustrating because you feel like you're screaming into the void. And I don't want to say I was to the point where I was delusional. I'm involved enough to know how shit works and how divisive people in our country are. And our country's very binary. For the most part, it's very one side's good, one side's bad, whereas many of us are like, they both fucking suck. But if you notice, a lot of people are like, Trump's an asshole, so Biden's good. And we're like, no, they're both assholes because both can be right at once. Things like that. Most Americans don't understand that mentality, at least the older generations. I would say my generation as a whole may be one of the last that doesn't watch MSM at all. It seems with the people I've interacted with, a lot of people, even in their 50s and 60s, do not watch MSM at all anymore. Many have gone away with cable, period. And I think we're going to notice that change. I hate to say it like this, but as older generations pass away, I think we're going to see less and less people poisoned by the MSM narrative. But it's really difficult to try and hold things in when you're passionate about something and when you know things that are truth. And when you just want to shake people, like, why would you even think that? And this is, the whole Palestine Israel thing to me is so beyond cut and dry. Like, to me, even if you don't know the 75-year history, even if you don't understand that this is about racism, even if you don't, like, why don't, all you have to know, as far as I'm concerned, all you have to know is that more than 12,000 people have been massacred in 5 weeks. More than 5,000 were babies, as in children. They have had no water, no food, no medical supplies, no electricity. They are being bombed in hospitals and schools. The doctors are digging ditches to throw the babies in because their incubators don't work because they cut the power off. These are things, like, to me, what else do you need to know? To me, it blows my mind that anyone would not be on the side that is being genocided. You can try and spin it any way you want. You can use the absolutely false narrative that it's anti-Semitic, which hundreds of thousands of Jews have come out and said is incredibly offensive, to try and use their pain and suffering to try and justify this genocide. Even if you try to use that, or you try to use, well, Hamas, 200 hostages, 1,200 people, you can try and use all of that. How in the world are you going to justify what is happening? How? Because we can all counteract every single one of those. 1,200 people dead by Hamas. more than half were IDF. Israel soldiers, more than half. Okay, number 2, the 200 hostages. Some of them have been murdered by Israel by blowing up buildings that they were in. And that's going to be used. Well, where are the other hostages? Well, they're dead because Israel blew them up. These are all things that there is documentation of. Gruesome videos of many of it. You know, Hamas, people keep saying terrorists, and yes, government can be terrorist, but a lot of people don't even understand that Hamas was democratically elected. They are government. They think they're like some rogue terrorist group. And the fact of the matter is that comparing, and I hate to do the comparison, but trying to compare 600 people to over 12,000, 7,300 political prisoners that have been caged for years for no other reason that they dared to try and cross the street. That was not their Palestinian side. The almost 7,000 Palestinians who were murdered before October 7th, the women who were raped, beaten, starved, and given birth control shots without their permission for 75 years. They're, you know, it's so easy for people to, and I don't even think some of them ignore it. I think they're so, you know, sucking on the teat of MSM that they're like, and you know damn right well MSM is not going to talk about the past 75 years. They're, you know, and I want to know how many people on Thursday are going to be like, we should thank our indigenous brothers and sisters because y'all are fucking hypocrites. Because what was once Palestine is now becoming Israel. And that's because of colonialism and the exact same thing that the indigenous peoples have gone through. And we're watching it again. It is a modern day trail of tears, how many natives have described it. And also, you know, I try to educate people about international law. International law as such states that if your land is occupied and there is apartheid, you are the only ones who are allowed to bring on physical force. Meaning, now, and don't make this like, oh, yay, Team Hamas. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, by international law definition, Palestine is the only one by international law who is allowed to do any kind of provocation. Now, there are people who still throw around the term self-defense. Well, to me, this was one instance that happened 5 weeks ago, and they're still massacring Palestinians. How is that self-defense? It's fucking not. Okay, it's not fucking self-defense. And that is so incredibly offensive to say that one thing 5 weeks ago has, you know, has justified, because that's what they're saying, to be clear, by saying self-defense, what you're saying is you are attempting to rationalize every fucking baby that's buried under rubble right now because of a defense. They're trying to equivocate what is going on is offensive. Furthermore, Israel has every dollar it could possibly want, every weapon it could possibly want. It has everything at its disposal. everything. And Palestinians don't even have fucking food and water. It's not a war. People keep calling it a fucking war. It's not. There is no, they don't even have a fucking army. It's not a fucking war. IDF is like, IDF is fucking huge. IDF trains New York City cops. That's true. That's a fact. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it's pretty fucking scary, but they do. So we are watching genocide play out. And I'm sorry, but there is no way in hell you are going to have me believe there are 12,000 people who have died in Palestine and Gaza since October 7th. No way in hell. It's at least double. And I think I'm being very generous by saying at least double. Go on Twitter, go on TikTok, go on YouTube. Look at these fucking videos of 1.8 million Palestinians out of 2.2 million people are unhoused because all their buildings have been bombed to rubble. And you're saying 12,000 people? No, I do not believe that. I don't. And even the White House came out with a statement a few days ago that said number of those killed in Palestine is higher than expected, likely higher than expected. Oh, well, no fucking shit. Like, there's no way it's 12,000 people. Even one is too many, but like, and not to minimize 12,000, but there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I mean, you have people, first of all, there's like 3,000 people in the last fucking hospital that was bombed. They're all in concentrated areas at this point. When it first started, they were not in concentrated areas. They were spread over a 7-mile radius. Well, now there's nowhere to fucking go with a roof over their head except all huddle in the same fucking place. So if you bomb that fucking place, obviously every person in it, which is likely thousands of people, is now gone. Another thing I think of is there are 50,000 pregnant Palestinian women right now. 50,000. Every single one of them knows their babies have no chance at survival. None. Because even if the mothers survive, their babies have no hospital to go to now. Because the only hospital that had OBGYN and NICUs is now rubble. That's it. It doesn't exist. Sorry, you're all losing your babies. And guess what? To me, that just added 50,000 more casualties to that number. Because no, that's bullshit. People in this country want to talk about, how think of the babies. You're not thinking of the babies. So imagine, and honestly, the women going through this right now who are pregnant, I wouldn't be surprised if their babies didn't survive just because of the starvation, the lack of water, the lack of, complete nervous breakdown every day. This is murder. It is murder. And when we say genocide, it's precisely reasons like this. What are the easiest ways to commit genocide? Number one thing is you cut off the bloodline, so to speak. I will make it so that all of the children are no longer, therefore they cannot procreate. That's what they're doing. When over 50% of the population is children under the age of 15, and over 70% is under 18, you're trying to get rid of those who can have babies and continue to have a Palestinian community. That is called genocide. So, and we talk as Americans, we talk a lot about casualties, as in numbers of those who have died. And I consider every single Palestinian person a casualty, because any who do or will survive has no home, likely no family, and nothing. Nothing. Where do they go? Just subsist in a pile of rubble? They have no life after this. What do they do? Where do they go? Even those who are surviving, it is just a technical word of survival. Their bodies are still alive, but they are not living. There is no way to possibly even have some semblance of thriving when you have no family, no home, no job, no nothing. So this as well is genocide. So you can even say, oh, well, even if it stops today, there's still 2 million people left or what have you. But how many are there left really? Because unless we literally get them elsewhere for them to rebuild, they're not going to exist anymore. And that's what's so heartbreaking, because these people are being faced with the choice that either I stay where I know is my home and my land that me and my family have fought for generations. Either I stay or I leave. And the fact of the matter is, they know if they leave, they will be killed along the way. And they will die in vain because they don't want to leave their home. Israel are terrorists. They are the absolute definition of terrorists. That is what is happening. And I know this video is going to get taken down. But look up the fucking definition of terrorist. This is, people are, some people don't understand the word genocide, and they're like, no, you're using that too much. Like, not me, but like people online and stuff. And they're like, that's such a strong word. This is bullshit. No, it's not bullshit. Because when people say ceasefire now, like when you're hearing politicians say it, the very few who are, they mean it as in a humanitarian pause. That's not what we mean. Fuck that. When we say ceasefire now, we mean period. Permanently. Get the fuck out. Leave Palestinians alone. Leave them the fuck alone. Let them be. Period. Just let them fucking be. They have, official Israel government accounts, like Israel Prime Minister, okay, and interviews, calling Palestinians human animals and children of dark and things like that. And saying, like, why are people siding with them? Why? That is, I don't understand. I don't. And I especially don't understand when it's people I care about, who are in my life, who Propaganda is strong, man. It's fucking strong. It is strong. And it's exhausting trying to teach people. But if you have any empathy whatsoever, look at the numbers. Look at the death toll of Palestinian babies. Look at the pictures. What else do you need to know? To me, there is not, I mean, people are being massacred. You should care. Period. This is not about religion. It is so... I want to know, what is it going to take? Like, what's it going to take? Because Hamas has offered to do hostage negotiations several times, and Israel has declined. Of course, shitlibs don't talk about that. And now they are in talks again. So let's just play what if. What if Hamas gives over the 200 hostages? Now what? Now will shitlibs shut up? Will blowing up babies stop? No, it won't. Because they're still going to say, well, back on October 7th, and let's say more and more and more Palestinians keep dying, which is certainly feasible. Then will it be genocide? Then will it be, holy fuck, this entire peoples, this entire population of peoples are being decimated? Like, how many more before people start to fucking say what is really happening? How many more? Because I see a whole lot of white Christians who are using the pain of Jewish people to say it's anti-Semitic to side with Palestinians. And I see a whole lot of white Christians who are calling those of us marching with Palestinians terrorists. And I'm so over this fucking media who says, Free Palestine marches are always called Hamas sympathizers, pro-Hamas. It's so racist. That is fucking racist. There is no other word that is racist. To say a small group of people in 2.2 million people represents the entire people is racist as fuck. And what's also frustrating, there are hundreds of thousands, there are over 300,000 Israeli Jews who have been protesting in favor of Palestine. Who's talking about that shit? It's just like us. We're protesting because we don't want to be involved in this genocide. They're protesting because they don't want to be involved in this genocide. But no, let's have Christian white people in the US speaking for them. How about that? That's not, that's not anti-Semitic. No, not at all. No, let's speak for the Jewish people who don't want this. The over 300 Holocaust survivors and their descendants who say, not in our name. We'll supersede that as white Christian privileged Americans. We matter more. It's so disgusting. And I watch, my best friend is from the Middle East. And I watch what this is doing to her, and it fucking kills me. It absolutely fucking kills me. And, people want to act like Israel are the victims and such, but let's not forget, it's not just Palestine that they're doing these things to. They bombed 4 places in one day. Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, and Palestine. Not just Palestine. So, and I spoke with 3 gentlemen from Egypt on a Spaces. Spaces, if you don't have Twitter, it's a phone call on Twitter. All 3 of them said, Palestinians are more than welcome in Egypt. We all support them. Israel has bombed Egypt in the past, so they all support Palestinians unwaveringly. Here's the problem. They say that every time Palestinians try to come to Egypt, they get killed. And anyone who knows fucking anything that's going on right now knows that is true. Because shitlibs are always like, well, they can leave. Are you fucking kidding me? How? They have trucks and IDF blocking fucking water and food. You don't think they have trucks and IDF blocking roads to get out? Are you kidding me right now? I even spoke to a gentleman in Egypt who said, I tried getting over there. I tried going to see if I could get people to pick them up. There's no way. There is no way. It is so privileged and ignorant to think, well, they could leave. Don't you think a lot of them would have if that was a choice, especially with those with kids? I have a feeling if it were easy like that, some of them may have just left, especially if their homes are gone and some of their other family members have gone. To me, I would think some of them then would just say, okay, let's go to Egypt. Let's start over. And it would be hard as fuck, but they would survive. But it's not that fucking easy. It's like every day I'm more fucking disgusted. Like every time I think I cannot be more disgusted with white Christian privileged Americans, it just heightens. I am so ashamed of our country. And I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. But it's like, other countries look at the United States and realize we're warmongers in every sense of the word. And you almost feel like if you meet people from out of the United States, you have to be like, I don't support the MIC, because you know what they'll think of you and you understand why they'll think that of you. And it's like having to be apologetic because of where you live, because you are so ashamed of what your country is doing. I'm terrified for brown people, for Palestinian people, for Arab people, for Muslim people, for Jews, I'm terrified. There are there were NAZIS, I'm going to try to not get this taken down, marching in fucking like Madison, Wisconsin yesterday. Like full on, like, you know, the symbols and stuff, like marching in the streets. And that's one of the reasons why it's so frustrating when people throw out the anti-Semitic term, just because we're standing with Palestine, because they are taking away from the genuine anti-Semitic things that are going on right now. But I've been noticing a lot of just absolutely egregious Israeli posts. I mean, just violent. I can't say a couple of them because I know my stream's going to get taken down. But if you're on my Twitter, you'll see some of the screenshots. And a lot of pro-Israel people ripping posters out of Free Palestine protesters' hands. One guy pushed two girls to the ground on the concrete, was smacking people with their signs in their face. There's a lot of violence and hatred on pro-Israel side. And you know, that pro-Israel rally last week was absolutely disgusting. I couldn't watch all of it. I only watched a clip because I was just shaking. They were chanting no ceasefire. Some of the signs were so fucking racist. Like pictures of like brown babies with rockets going at them, things like that. And I might talk about this tomorrow, so I may not say it now, but oh well. There was I have proof in an article that Israel was paying college kids $250 a piece to go to that rally. So they tried to make it seem like Israel has a lot more support than they do. And we know that people who do support Israel, they're not mobilized like us. They're not. They're not. Like, some of these people that are Free Palestine have been out in the streets every day for 5 weeks. I mean, I've gone to a bunch of actions, but like, I'm talking every day for 5 weeks. Like flying across the country, doing things 24/7. They don't have the passion we have and the resolve we have, because aside from the one in DC they paid people to be at, that was literally saying pro HITLER sentiments. Other than that, which people I knew, journalists, like credited journalists who I respect very much, who said that there were maybe like 3,000-4,000 people, and the overhead view, I'll even be generous. I will be generous and say 10,000. That is generous. And there were 300,000 people there and stuff. Oh my God. No, there weren't. No, there weren't. They weren't even 50,000. No, just stop. So even if with that one, okay, even with that, look at across the world, all the pro-Palestine marches. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people in France, even though it's illegal, in Berlin, in Canada, in Switzerland, in Israel. And I mean, it's so remarkable. It's so beautiful. And Israel does not have a fraction of that support. And no, I'm sorry, us millions of people are not all anti-Semitic. So it's just a lot of bad faith arguments, and it's a lot of ignorance, some by choice and some because they refuse to look at MSM and nothing else. But I just kind of wanted to rant because it's getting exhausting. And it's nowhere near over. But I do know one thing, those who are speaking up on behalf of Palestine are on the right side of history, and we can be proud that we are standing with humanity. I've got I don't know if you can see it, my flutter by Free Palestine. So this was kind of just like impromptu, just because I was, most of us, we're so fucking depressed, and everything's been so heartbreaking, and it's 24/7, and you can't stop looking at it, and you shouldn't stop looking at it, and don't become desensitized to it, and also don't get activist fatigue, because it's easy. I've been there where I'm like, oh my God, I feel if I march one more time, I'm just going to end up in the hospital. I'm going to collapse. I need a break. We cannot let that happen. If you need to take a break for self-care, abso-fucking-lutely do it. But we can't let, like what happened with George Floyd, how all of a sudden it pretty much just stopped. We can't let that happen. We can't. An entire community, an entire state of 2.2 million people are counting on us. So thank you for tuning in. I have some great shows the next few weeks. Tomorrow night, Postmortem Breakdown with myself and Andrew. Tuesday night, I have Scott Smith coming on, who is but who we will be talking about updates with East Palestine, Ohio. Yes, I do still very much advocate for them. And I talk to my comrades from there pretty much every day, and still think about them nonstop. And Norfolk Southern just had another train derailment last night. So Scott Smith is someone I've had on my show before. He is an independent scientific testing researcher. So he's been testing the water and creating samples and testing people's homes and things like that because, EPA lies. So he'll be coming back on to give updates. He was recently subpoenaed by Norfolk Southern because he's dangerous, because he knows a lot of what toxicities there are and such. So we'll be talking about that. It's going to be a great conversation. Wednesday, I'm waiting for Elias Sabetta to text me back, but as far as I know, he will be joining me. It's been a minute since I've had my boy on, so yeah, but in any case, I'm looking at tonight and then 3 more days in a row. So good shows coming up. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, smash the share. And oh yes, so I'm going to start actually using Instagram. So if you want to follow me at Savage Joy Marie 1, I'm going to start putting stuff on there and also on TikTok. I'm going to start trying to teach myself how to make clips of my shows and put them on TikTok. So dun, 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 I'm going to try. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you all 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night with Andrew. Thanks. Much love, everyone.